Hello, everybody. We're so excited to be back for another Own Your Growth. Normally, you would see Colin and myself up here at the beginning, having a little chat with you guys, letting you know what's to come, trying to be funny, trying to warm up that whole host duo comedy act that we have not quite nailed. So we actually figured that we'd have somebody who is funny for a living come and talk to you guys first instead. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you to the incomparable Corporate Bro.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Own Your Growth Conference brought to you by, well, of course, Predictable Revenue, where for the next 2 days, you will learn how to improve your revenue strategies from the high level, like marketing ideation sessions over some frosty kombuchas, down to the tactical, like salespeople making cold calls in the trenches. I don't know about y'all, but I am, oh God, quaking with excitement. I'm talking Addy on an empty stomach during finals week type jacked up. Truth is, I took some pre-workout powder, so I am on one right now and sweating profusely, but I'm here. So let's do this. My name is Corporate Bro, or as my mom calls me, her happy little mistake. I am the self-described master of the persuasive arts and purveyor of the acronym SADNESS, which stands for Sales Are Dope, Never Ever Stop Selling. For those of you who have never heard of me, well, that's a you problem. And you either missed quota or you've never carried a quota. But for those of you who have heard of me, it's so lovely to see you. Yes, as the schedule states, I am a comedian, apparently strictly in the B2B sales space, an awfully narrow point of view. I certainly didn't write that. But I guess what comic doesn't want to be strictly tied to arguably the most annoying profession on earth? Just saying. So yes. Given I've clearly limited my own growth opportunities, I am the perfect candidate to kick off a conference about growth. So, what's my relationship to revenue? Well, this may shock you, but I was a sales guy. Enterprise life. In fact, I sold for Oracle. Ever heard of them? Practically built that place. Of course, Larry would never admit it. He was probably just threatened by my power grab after hitting 119% in Q3. So, I had to go. And now look at him. Only made 10.4 billion this past year, so it's safe to say they miss me. Case in point, Larry. I also dipped my toe in the proverbial waters of the startup sales game, and that was a real treat. We were all paid 20% under market, but it was okay because we were on a rocket ship to the IPO stratosphere. Of course, rather than being Apollo 11 and landing on the moon, we ended up like the Challenger, in a ball of flames cascading elegantly back to Earth in front of the eyes of TechCrunch and BuzzFeed. But don't worry, in this story, not everybody got hurt. Our CEO did receive a massive payout. #blessed, thank God. So yeah, I've spent some time in the revenue game. Through the ups and downs, I can confidently say that I am a shining example of just how far mediocrity can go. If you want to know more, you can Google me like an adult, or you can check me out on Instagram at Corporate Bro, where I post sketch comedy every week like a machine. But enough about my colorful history. I love speaking at these events, especially when we're talking about revenue because, making money is super tight. I love it because I get to speak to the most critical functions of a business, as well as marketing. But perhaps most importantly, I get to tell boomer executives to stop doing TikToks because no, it's not cool. And no, watching them move with the rhythm of a three-legged hippo is not exactly good for business. Now, we're here today because, as the program says, in these overflowing times, everything just feels noisy and unfocused. We want to help you reconnect with yourself, get centered, and rebuild your revenue strategy. Now, if that event description doesn't wear a saggy beanie unironically and drink oat milk, I don't know what does. But how are we going to rebuild our revenue strategies? It's a fair question, and I think we're all asking ourselves that. Maybe not full rebuilds, but I think we all have room to grow. We've got poor BDRs, SDRs, MDRs, ADRs, XDRs, or whatever acronym your company calls them being just churned and burned. We look at them with disdain and disgust, and we say, why aren't you doing better? We tell them to pick up the phone, make more calls. You're the tip of our revenue spear, and we need to start generating that shit, or else we're all going to be on the streets cold calling for food. This, of course, coming off the heels of a year that was dark, trying, dare I say, unprecedented. Last year got weird out there, fam. And only recently have things begun to shift back to normalcy. But we can't just get back on the bike and expect to be Lance Armstrong just like that. Unless, of course, you're me, who's been hitting the Peloton every single day for months. Shakira said her hips don't lie. Well, thanks to Alex Toussaint and Cody Rigsby, my thighs don't lie, people. They make up 42% of my body weight. Think about that. It's honestly insane. And it kind of grosses people out, but I like them. Anyway, what was I even saying? Oh, yes. Precedented times. They're back, right? No, they're not back. They'll never be back. And we have to adjust accordingly. Adapt or die, as they say. And who's they? The adapters, obviously. But how do we do that? Well, over the next 2 days, you're going to learn from people far more qualified than I. Right after my incoherent diatribe, you'll get to hear David Premier talk about how sales reps need to stop selling value. Because at this point, it's pretty apparent to everyone that more often than not, we don't provide any. He says, we got to stop trying to convince buyers that spending money on a product or service will result in tangible financial return, aka ROI. I think that's personally because prospects know we can't do math. So those numbers are obviously made up. And frankly, salespeople numbers have always had a tough relationship. Forecasts made up, discounts arbitrary, quotas stressful. The only time you'll see a salesperson do well with numbers is when it comes to calculating commission. And then suddenly they're certified CPAs with data science certificates from Harvard. It's not our fault, though. We spent all of our years in elementary and middle school with the expectation that we wouldn't need to learn math because we were going to be professional athletes and movie stars. By the time we realized that wasn't going to pan out, it was too late. Someone should have crushed our dreams a lot earlier. Because with no hard skills and a penchant for conversation, we were left with one option. Get on the phones and make strangers buy stuff from us. And it's a tough gig. No lie. But as far as I'm concerned, sales is the most important skill you can have on earth. You're all selling something, a product, a service, an idea, your politics, your mom on why you deserve to stay on the family cell plan at 32 years old. We are winning that battle, by the way. A CEO sells a vision. Marketers sell a brand. IT sells you on why you shouldn't click on a phishing email even when they're advertising discounted Coachella tickets. Sales isn't just convincing someone to buy a pen. It's all the little things. Staying on top of next steps, logging call notes, booking the next meeting, looping in other stakeholders, telling your manager it's going to be fine even though it's not. It's all about the details, where the devil lives, and my manager. And I've actually never seen them in the same room, so I'm just saying. My manager is right, though, because the sum of all these little closes leads to the big close. Revenue. So, what does the Predictable Revenue team have in store for y'all? At 12:15 today, you will hear a keynote from Mark Roberge. Mark is the managing director at Stage 2 Capital, named after all the qualified meetings he set back when he was an SDR. He got his MBA from MIT's Sloan School of Management, and he's a visiting lecturer at Harvard, which means only one thing, people. He couldn't get into Stanford. Sorry, Mark. I'll talk slow for you. But Mark is going to teach us how to avoid growth potholes. And I really can't miss that one because I find myself in a growth pothole nearly every single night at this point. It's a dark, dark pothole where I can't stop eating munchies. And the next thing I know, I've watched 7 episodes of Too Hot to Handle. I can't even believe Chloe and Bryce were, you know what? I'm not going to get into that right now. Okay. Not getting into it. Instead, I'm going to listen to that keynote by Marky Mark. And another big keynote on the sketch, John Miller, CMO of Demand-Based, who apparently predicted marketing automation, which is crazy because, you know, the fact that he's a fortune teller, but unsurprising because he did get into Stanford. Go Card. But he's going to tell y'all what's next on the marketing horizon and how to prepare for it. I'm assuming it's more webinars and shitty leads, but what do I know? I'm just a sales guy who can barely read. And speaking of reading, for those of you who've gotten your greasy paws all over Aaron Ross's Predictable Revenue book, you know it's a page turner. And I don't want to ruin the twist at the end, but let's just say people's revenue was a bit more, God, how do I say this? Predictable. And it was sick. M. Night Shyamalan-esque. Seriously, though, people, this is going to be a live stream AMA where some folks will be asking Aaron questions about his book. If you have questions, you can get them answered either in the live chat or in the Slack community. Regardless, tune in unless you want unpredictable revenue. Your choice. In addition to the keynotes, there will be several other talks throughout the conference. But if you're worried about spending all your brain power and not being able to absorb all of this priceless information, don't. Because in classic marketing form, Predictable Revenue's own Julia Heason will be leading a yoga class to recharge your minds, bodies, and souls, all from your desk. No need to change clothes, but it is BYOI. Bring your own incense. And finally, there's a giveaway going on, people. Free shit. Yes. Unfortunately, no donuts in the break room. I wish. But it's called Conversation Starter. Think of it as the virtual showroom floor at this conference, but instead of booths, You can actually find other attendees to connect with and learn from, or just cyberbully if you're in a bad mood. I'm kidding. Don't do that unless you want to. You'll have the ability to browse relevant participants and send invitations for 12-minute video calls. It's super easy to use and there's nothing to install. So if you logged into this video conference, then you are fully capable of using Conversation Starter. But because after all that, like I said, there is a giveaway, folks. So yeah, if 2 or more people from the same company sign up for Conversation Starter, then you have a chance to win a consultation by one of the in-house predictable revenue experts and one of 10 digital copies of the best-selling predictable revenue book by the man, the myth, the legend, the revenue smarty pants, Aaron Ross. And since we're all here for revenue and numbers and all that shit, I should point out that the total value of this prize is 5,000 US American dollars. Or if you live in San Francisco, 1 month rent at a quaint studio apartment in the Tenderloin. So with that, let's send it back to Colin and Sarah, who love revenue and hate unpredictability.